It has a full actually.
Now you can start. Okay, not a problem.
But it's not on the screen now, lecture. Okay, it's coming. Why the lecture is not on the screen? Why it is shared?
What is the question?
The lecture should come on the screen.
Yeah,
Already
you
there,
are sharing your screen, right? And we are able to see your screen. You just somebody has just stopped our
you
screen.
can see the key. What is this? What is happening? The question is not appearing on the screen. Why? Why not? Okay, well, started. Then,
Oh, you
but
can
why
click on a share screen, and then after you can share it. Click on a share screen and you can share it.
I know that I have shared it on my. On the just a minute. Let's see it. Just 1 minute more.
Okay, not a problem.
Yeah. If it is shared, then it will be good. It will be easier for me. Like, no, still some problem is there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, if you can't see me, it's okay, but you can hear me, right? Hello.
Yes. We can hear
You can
you.
hear me. So
Yes.
yeah, that's more important. Okay, so this lecture is basically in 3 parts. And the first part is basically the dark genes and junk genes. And second is genes and body features like color, height, and then genes, hormones, and behavior. But actually, I'm going to talk mainly in three things, because genes and body features like color, height is not included in this, and it is shifted to another one. And in this lecture, actually, there are 3 parts. If you see all the slides: dark genes, junk genes, gene, hormones, and behavior, and genetics of emotions. So I will explain briefly, and then we will discuss it. Okay, if you go to the first slide, on the last lecture, I explained that um, the our body is made up of cell, and each cell consists of DNA inside a nucleus. Here you can see that there is a chromosome like present here, and this chromosome like structure is actually made up of a DNA which looks like this, as this. And if we see the structure of a DNA, as I explained, that it is made up of 4 nitrogenous bases called as TGAC. T is for thymine, G for guanine, A for adenine, and C for cytosine. And the entire DNA strand, the one strand and the another which is coiling on the first one, both are made up of these 4 nucleotides, and they are always repeated right from the first end to the last end of this DNA strand. Okay. I also explained that genes are basically nothing but they are part of a DNA. So as in this diagram, you can see gene 1 and gene 2. What does it mean? I also said in the last lecture that if you open a DNA present in single nucleus or single cell, it can lengthen from Earth to Moon. It is so large in such a small cell structure. Okay. And in this entire length of a DNA, there are a large number of areas which are recognized as gene. Why they are called gene? Because they have some functional activity. They express themselves. See, as I am speaking, I am expressing the lecture. I am expressing my views. The gene also express same way. But I am expressing like with the words. The gene express in terms of producing something. And that is basically a protein, as I explained in the last lecture. So when gene become functional or gene become active, it produces the protein. Okay. So, and this phenomena is known as a gene expression. Now, I think you might have heard large number of diseases which are written here: multiple sclerosis, lupus erythematosus, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, celiac disease. I will just talk about few so that you can understand this, what is dark gene and the junk genes. Basically, these are the single words. And actually, if we talk about the multiple sclerosis, it is a very severe disease. There is no treatment for this. And actually, it starts by losing the outer covering of our nerve fibers, which are responsible for transmitting the impulses from brain to the different parts of our periphery of our body, like from brain to the tips of your finger or to any part of the body. So the nerve fibers are basically destroyed. But why they are destroyed? Because of some immune activity. In body, there are some kind of cells which start eating them, or they remove the outer covering of nerve fibers. Rheumatoid arthritis, you know very well. And these diseases, which are basically because of an immune condition, they are known as autoimmunity. Okay. Crohn's disease is another disease, which is also because of this autoimmunity. And in this disease, it is a bowel disease. Okay. And it affects the gut lining. There's another disease called as a celiac disease, which is basically again an immune reaction to eating the gluten. Do you know that large number of people are basically cannot eat the wheat? Okay. The reason is the wheat consists of a gluten, a protein, which affects very severely. And this disease, where the people cannot eat the gluten or the wheat, they are basically affected by this celiac disease. Even there are people who cannot even drink milk because they are severely what you call responsive to the milk protein, which is called as a casein. Although it is said that all these diseases have multiple reasons, like one of the cause is age, one of the cause is food. There is also the reason the climate change. There are also possibility of certain infections. There is also possibility of a family history. And there is also possibility that if there is a very low vitamin, in that case, these kind of vitamin D, in that case, these diseases develops. But still, people believe that since there is an involvement of immunity, there is a possibility that the genes are involved in development of these diseases. When the scientists were studying these diseases or some other diseases, what they found that in human DNA sequence, there are certain areas which are basically now referred as a dark genes. These genes, these areas actually get changed. Okay, what are these areas? Actually, as I said, that the gene or DNA consists of certain areas which are known as exon and intron. Well, intron are the areas which are completely non-functional. And if you can see in the first diagram, it is just for the reference. Like you can see here the stations, red stations, okay, on the chromosome. So here is a DNA. This red station you can consider as an exon. So this is an active gene. But the blue areas which are present here, they are basically the introns and they are non-functional. Okay. So the exon can produce the protein, but the introns are just for what you call present in the DNA, but they are not producing anything and they are not at all functional. Okay. So what people found very interestingly, or scientists found, that these kind of genes which are involved with such kind of diseases, they are basically present in areas which are other than the exons. Okay. There is another term used for exon known as a protein coding genes. Means these genes responsible for protein that I explained on the last lecture. Now, intron, since they are not producing protein, they are not involved in anything. That's why they are the other name for these is a non-coding genome. All right. Now, so basically, in one way, we can say that the dark genome or junk genome is basically the area. Basically, the concept will involve the non-coding genome regions of a DNA, but still this area, people say or scientists say that this area is still responsible for regulating the gene expression. जो कोडिंग पार्ट का एक्सप्रेशन है प्रोटीन के फॉर्मेशन में, और the function of a exon or protein coding genes can be regulated by these non-coding regions. It was observed that in the last decade that it was discovered that over 98% of the human genome does not code for protein. So the exon is actually making only 2% of the human genome. And there are more than 23,000 genes have already been identified, most of which have unknown functions. Okay. Now this is a DNA, and you can see here clearly, these are the coding regions which are green here, and the yellow regions are basically the introns, which are non-coding regions, although no function, but they control the functions of coding regions by different means. I'm not going into details because that will create a confusion. But it is said that these non-coding regions may be responsible for development of these two areas. One is known as RNAP and transposable elements. I'm not going into details of RNAP, but I will explain you transposable elements. If you have seen the maize corn, in that case, sometimes you find that mostly the corns are yellow in color. But in some cases, there is a different kind of colors. Like there is a black color, there is a brown color, there is a dark yellow color, and some different kind of colors. Even a bluish color appear in this. Why these colors happens? Actually, it is said that there are certain kind of genes which can jump from one place to another place. Okay, like this. Suppose this particular area is now designated as a transposable element, and this will jump from here to another place in the DNA. And when it comes to another place, it behaves according to that reason. And then responsible for development of these kind of colors. These transposable elements are actually very important in inheritance of different type of characteristics. One of that explained by the corn. Well, I'm not going into details of the coding regions and non-coding regions. It is self-explanatory. And I'm not also going into details of this because I already explained you this. And this is actually the phenomena, how the protein is produced on the DNA. You can see that this is a DNA structure, large number of exons. When the DNA undergo a process called transcription, most of these, what you call, there is a formation of RNA, and this RNA actually lose the introns and become completely a structure which consists of exons known as mRNA. And then it undergoes a process called as translation, where basically amino acid chain is formed, which I explained on the last lecture. And then once this chain is formed, which is formed on this messenger RNA, it is converted into a protein which undergo post-doctoral translational modification. And this protein can act as an enzyme, can act as a hormone, can act as any other kind of a protein which is present in our body. Okay. It is said that some animal genome seems to have missing certain genes, ones that appear in other similar species and must be present to keep the animals alive. Okay, and these missing genes are basically dubbed as dark gene. Large number of such genes are actually identified. For example, one gene known as SLX4IP, which was long considered as involved in glucose metabolism. हमारी बॉडी में जो ग्लूकोज यूज होता है उसके लिए वो रेस्पॉन्सिबल है. HSF2BP, which is basically associated with a disease called as coronary artery disease, and there is another gene which is known as LFMN, which was found involved in a behavioral disorder known as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This type of disorder is basically seen in case of children who are who develop the autism type of a disease. First time these kind of genes, missing genes were observed in the case of a sand rat, and researchers found that these genes are basically present in the sand rat because of certain kinds of number of mutations which are developed in the related species, and ultimately they are transferred to the sand rat. And they also found that these particular areas which are mutated in sand rat, they are responsible for the two bases, GC, guanine and cytosine. So guanine and these type of areas in a gene are basically rich in guanine and cytosine bases. This was found first time in the case of a sand rat. This sand rat is also known as desert rat. It is also said that because of the presence of this continuous what you call mutation, and due to the excessive GC reason, the desert rat has undergone a fast evolutionary changes. In other animal species, such as in case of a bird, this type of dark DNA was also discovered, and it has shown in a study that about 274 missing genes in many bird species were reported. It is also said that possibly as there is a climate change is at a run, which is basically speeding the evolutionary process among many species, more cases of dark DNA could result. There is a one study which is reported in case of a journal called as Oncology, which is related to cancer. A non-coding DNA segment similar to the dark gene was reported in the case of the prostate cancer and breast cancer, and it was suggested that this particular dark gene can act as a switch for the gene expression. Because see, the breast cancer, prostate cancer, they are basically developed because of, again, some kind of a protein which is produced, abnormal protein produced in the because of abnormal functioning of a gene. And it is said that these non-coding regions or the dark genes may be acting as the switch or a knob for regulating the gene expression of the genes which are responsible for the development of breast and prostate cancers. See, it is also believed that possibly some genes, scientists have tried to find out that from where the genes have tried to come or they are appearing in our genetic sequence. Well, they believe that some gene sequence once considered junk are actually fragments of viruses left buried in our DNA from an infection in a long forgotten ancestor. I will just explain in brief that if you might have seen the condition that if somebody has the smallpox in its early life, well, after some times, what happens in the long age means sometimes after 50s or 60s, some people developed a herpes virus disease. Okay, I think all of you know what is herpes virus disease. There are what you call the swollen area are filled with the what you call
Shingles. shingles.
छोटे छोटे उस पे फफोले बन जाते हैं और वो पानी से भर जाता है, और ये एक्चुअली क्या, जो नर्व्स होती हैं उन्हीं पे डेवलप होता है, जहां पर आपकी नर्व्स होती हैं, और बहुत सीवियर बर्निंग और पेन होता है. So it is said that possibly the smallpox virus might have infected you in your early age, but in the late age, it is now become functional and develop the herpes disease. Okay. So in this way, it is basically believed that possibly these junk genes are basically the virus might have infected our ancestors. They remain absent, or what you call non-functional for a long time, and maybe sometimes they become the active because of certain climate change or some other reasons in our body, maybe because of exposure to ultraviolet lights, or maybe because of certain drugs which we are taking, something actually triggering these genes, and then these genes are basically responsible for development of a disease. Since these areas, I again summarize that since these genes are present in a non-coding region, or the areas which are completely a non-functional part of a DNA, that's why the genes are called as dark genes or junk genes. Okay. Let's go to the another part, which is genes, hormones, and behavior. Well, there is a question, and it is a common question in biology. Are hormones produced in our body responding, or responses in body are controlled by our genetics? See, I already explained that there are large number of glands in our body, like pituitary, thyroid, thymus, adrenal, and then the testis and ovary, which are present in male and female. They are also glands, and they produce different kind of hormones. Like one hormone which is produced by pituitary is called as a growth hormone, which is responsible for our height and growth of the body. If this hormone is not produced in the body, in that case, the height has become small, and the growth is also retarded. So these are the two questions. Are hormone responses in the body are controlled by genetics, and how much do genes determine a behavioral trait, like the way you are behaving, or giving a response to a particular signal from outside? Okay. Simple answer to these two questions is that both genetics and environmental factors play a major role in determining behavioral traits, or our behavioral what you call responses. Our genes do influence hormone secretion, and I will take an example of a growth hormone gene to explain that how the hormones are basically what you call governed by the genetic function. As I already said, that there is a growth hormone secreted in our body by pituitary, and this growth hormone is secreted under influence of a gene called GH1, which is actually growth hormone gene. If this gene gets mutated means the gene sequence is changed. It can be changed in many ways. Like there is a called deletion. Deletion means a part of a gene is actually deleted from the DNA. There may be involution, means a gene is turned. If it is like AGTC, now it will be converted into GCTA. So it is a abnormal kind of a situation. Okay. These kind of things are known as a mutation in the gene. So in case the GH1 gene is mutated, in that case, the gene may not be able to produce the amount of a growth hormone which is required for the development. So if the low availability of growth hormone developing during the developing process, the height of a person, of a he or she, will be shorter than typical height. Now, how this growth hormone works? Growth hormone, when secreted and when it goes to our cells, actually there are certain protein structures which actually receive the growth hormone and then ultimately influence the cell function. Okay. These proteins which are present on outside the cell are known as receptors. So why they call receptors? Because they receive the growth hormone protein. These are also under the governance of a genetic function. So if suppose the GHR growth hormone receptor gene is also mutated, in that case, or only the gene growth hormone receptor gene is mutated. Growth hormone gene is functioning normally. So in that case, if suppose the growth hormone gene is producing the enough amount of a growth hormone, even then the since GHR gene is actually non-functional or mutated, even enough amount of a GH hormone is available, the body cannot use it. Okay, and therefore the growth will be affected. But still there is another factor related to it. In fact, when GHR and GH1 are not only the genes that affect the growth, in fact, there is another hormone which is basically connected with the growth hormone receptor, is known as a insulin-like growth factor, and it is also known as a IGF-1, okay, which actually when GH and GH are functioning, means GH is going to GHR, so GHR receiving the GH or growth hormone and then activates the cell. In that case, inside the cell, this another gene, which is known as an insulin-like growth factor gene, IGF-1, become turned on and start acting on the cell to, acting on the cell. Okay. This IGF is actually responsible for our growth. Well, if IGF also undergoes the mutation, in that case, the body can sense the presence of a growth hormone since the receptor is still functioning, but it still can't respond to it because the IGF is not functioning, and therefore person would still be shorter than its typical height. So in this way, a gene is actually regulating the growth. And you can see that just for a one function, like a growth of a body, how many genes are involved? Growth hormone gene, growth hormone receptor gene, IGF gene, and there is another cut. There is another gene known as a growth hormone releasing hormone gene, known as a GHRH. This gene is basically produce this growth hormone, and this when this growth hormone is released, only in that case the growth hormone is released. So if that case genes, if this gene GHRH is got mutated, then you can see how the effect will be produced in the cell. So in fact, it is said that the large number of genes are involved in one function. Like in growth, it was found that about 19 genes are actually playing the role of a action of a growth hormone, an important role of a synthesizing growth hormone, sensing, receiving, and ultimately controlling the growth hormone release. There is another hormone which is very important in the female, known as the estrogen hormone. And it is said that about 80 genes are actually playing a role in synthesis, sensing, and regulating the female growth hormone, estrogen. So in one way, the hormone is basically playing an important role. Now, these hormones which are synthesized in our body under the influence of gene, but they are also influenced by environmental factors. And actually, the environmental factor play a bigger role than the gene in shaping day-to-day hormone responses. See, there is one example I included here, and I read it so that you can understand. Food which we eat provides us energy and also building blocks like protein, carbohydrate, and lipids. These are basically the three components by which our entire body is made. The cells are made, which our bodies need to function and grow. If enough food is not available to body, our bodies make sure that the limited energy is used to keep our bodies functioning, and the body will stop responding to growth hormone, and growth will stop until enough food is available. Well, the better example to understand this is a hormone known as a melatonin, which is secreted in our body by a gland which is present in our brain. It is present on the part of the brain. It is a very small gland, but very important. and secreting a hormone known as melatonin hormone. I think you might have heard that there is a jet lag when you travel abroad. After traveling, since there is a time change from one continent to another continent, in that case you feel jet lag. Okay, and doctor suggests that if you take a small tablet of melatonin, the effect of a jet lag will be neutralized. So what is basically a melatonin? Melatonin actually hormone which is produced in night, and it causes some changes in brain activity that help to fall asleep. But in during daytime, the level of melatonin decreases. So we feel less sleepy and become more awake. Well, melatonin level increased after sunset and then decreased at sunrise. And therefore, it is responsible to regulate a cycle known as a sleep cycle. We sense sometimes thirst, we sense eating food at a particular time period, like at in the morning, 8 o'clock, you feel like having a breakfast every day. Like you are feeling at about 1:30 or 1 o'clock to eat your lunch. And at again about 8:30, you feel like having your dinner. And then at about 11 o'clock, you feel like finally sleep. So this type of a cycle is basically regulated by melatonin, okay, or melatonin hormone. Now, as I said already in my first what you call introduction of a melatonin, at night body produces lot of melatonin which causes some changes in the brain activity. And then I said that melatonin level increased after sunset. So it is an environmental factor which causing the increase of a melatonin secreted by the pineal gland in our body. But when there is a sunrise, since we have to be awake, they automatically with the sunrise or the melatonin level is decreased in our body. Okay, so this is how the environmental factors affect the hormones. I will also another question explain that does hormone can also turn gene on and off? Well, this question is very difficult to explain. Still, in case of estrogen hormone, which is a female hormone, some people say that they, by studying the functioning of this functioning of estrogen hormone, that the gene responsible for estrogen secretion is actually uh, controlled by genes, and these genes may have different functions, playing roles in formation and strengthening of bones, heart function, and cancer, etc. How can genes change? How can genes can be changed naturally? Well, this is a question asked very commonly, but it's very difficult to say that the, there is a natural way of changing the genes. But some people believe that if you involved in certain activities, specific activities like physical activities like dancing or running or on a regular basis, or certain other activities like drawing, writing, preparing a book, or some other kind of such activities, there is a possibility that you activate certain genes which are present in our body inactively, and these genes become active and then support these kind of activities. And such type of examples have observed in certain cases, but they are not very common examples. Okay. The third part is genetics of emotions. Very briefly, I will explain about this.
लोकेशन आपके आप ग्रुप से जुड़ी है ना मतलब ग्रुप में लोकेशन एक दो बार भेजा है फिर भी और एक बार भेजा है
as I said here, emotion is basically a typical definition for emotion is a complex experience of consciousness, bodily sensations, and behavior that reflects the personal significance of a thing, an event, or a state of affairs. In a very simple way, we can explain that it is a strong feeling such as love, anger, fear, etc. This is the simplest definition for an emotion. Well, this word emotion was actually originated from a French word emotion, which basically means physical disturbance. And it was first time coined by a person called Thomas Brown in 1800. There are four kinds of basic emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, and anger. And these four kinds of basic emotions are basically associated with three core effects, like reward, which is related to happiness, means if you get a reward, you become happy. Sadness, when you are punished, when you lose something, in that case, you undergo the sadness. And third is basically when there is a fear of something or when there is a anger, you undergo the stress. So these four kind of basic emotions, happiness, sadness, fear, and anger, they are basically related with the three core effects known as reward, punishment, and uh, according to American Psychological Association, emotion can be also defined as a complex reaction pattern involving experiential, behavioral, and physiological elements. I will explain it a little further. Means emotions are how individuals deals with own matters or situations they find personally significant. Like if you fear with some situations, or you might have lose somebody, or you might fail in love, or some other things, or you might have lost a lot of money. Under that conditions, you become completely emotional. Okay, so the emotion is a simple, which is basically the physiological or behavioral expression of our body. Emotion can also involve bodily reactions, like when heart races as feel excited, and expressive movements, including facial expression and sounds. For example, when say wow, because you are fascinated with something. Emotions can involve various behaviors, like yelling at someone when you become angry. So what is difference between an emotion and a feeling? Well, a fundamental difference between feeling and emotion is that feelings are experienced consciously, while emotions manifest either consciously or subconsciously. If you are happy because of something, maybe it is directly related to you or not, but when you see something like a scenic beauty or a very beautiful picture, you become happy. So it is maybe a conscious happiness or subconscious happiness by seeing that scenic beauty or a picture, or some kind of a beautiful picture. Some people may spend years or even a lifetime. Uh, sorry, I forget about. In order to better understand what emotions are, one has to focus on the three key elements known as the subjective experience, the physiological response, and behavioral response. I'm not going into details of this because this will be a. Is emotion is a state of mind? Well, emotion is a subjective state of mind. Emotion can be a reaction to internal stimuli, such as particular thought coming in your body, or some kind of memories. When you memorize something which you have seen earlier, or you memorize your brother or sister or somebody you have met long back, and then you become little happy or become sad. That is basically a state of a mind. So in that case, we can say that emotion is basically a state of mind which is related to the thoughts or previous memories. But it is not exactly related to a mood. Mood is different because mood is a state of a mind that is basically you are showing when you are reacting to something. What is the strongest emotion? The strongest emotion, according to psychologists, is the love. Human experience a range of emotions from happiness to fear and anger, which is a strong dopamine response. Actually, it is considered that the dopamine hormone, which is, or it is basically a neurotransmitter produced in our brain, is actually responsible for the the what you call the responses which are produced like happiness or anger or love or any other type of what you call expression by you. Dopamine is also considered as a neurotransmitter. When the level of dopamine decreases, there is a chances of developing a disease called as Parkinsonism. Who create emotion? Our brain basically create the emotions. It is the way our brain gives meaning to different kind of body sensations based on past experience or based on the new experiences. And therefore, actually, the brain, which is responsible for the feelings like happiness, surprise, sadness, and anger. And these are the areas known as the prefrontal cortex, which is in the front part of our body, and the cingulate cortex. These are the two areas which are basically related with the functions of emotion in our brain. Different type of studies have been carried out in laboratory animals to study the what you call emotional behavior, and mainly rats, mice, and dogs were used for this. And there is one typical test known as the open field test, in which there is a marked area of a specific dimension. Animals are left in this area after some kind of a treatment, like a rat is exposed to a picture of a kitten, and then it is left in this open field test, and they are observed for different time period that how they behave. And actually the emotion actually on the basis of their activity, running inside, sitting on a corner, defecation, excess defecation, and on basis of these it is estimated that the animal is under emotion or expressing some kind of a fear, some kind of anger, some kind of a stress, etc. But still there are different large number of questions which are still not answered, like how the brain reacts to emotional information is influenced by the genes. Whether genes may influence how sensitive you are to emotional information. Some people feel emotions harder than others. This is very true. And they possess a highly sensitive, possibly that some human possesses a highly sensitive nervous system, and because of that, they show the emotions. But still, it is not clear that the genes are directly related to the emotional information. But there are large number of informations by studies on the animals that somewhere the genes are involved in the expression of different type of emotions like love, anger, fear, and what you call, sorry, I lost the word. So briefly, I explained it is not possible to explain everything. So let us discuss it and let me answer the questions. Are there questions? Are there questions on these two topics?
Yeah. Alok Jain. He's asking some question.
Yeah, please.
Alok Jain, you can ask. You are muted. Alok Jain, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you for a very enlightening talk, Bhatnagar sir. So the question I'd like to ask is, what are hormones?
What are
Hormones.
sorry? What are?
What are the hormones?
Okay. See,
He has the
as I
question that
said,
what is
in our body,
what is hormones?
I'm explaining it very clearly. See, I said that in our body there are glands, like gland which is known as a pituitary. You might have heard about it.
Yeah.
There is another gland as a third. Pituitary actually produces large number of substances which are regulating different kind of functions. Okay, like the growth of our body, the body metabolism, the development of what you call our hairs. Um, there are various examples of the functions of a hormone, growth hormone, which is secreted. So growth hormone is basically secreted by a gland known as the pituitary. Another hormone known as a thyroid. This thyroid gland actually produces a hormone known as, or a substance known as a thyroxine. And this thyroxine hormone is actually responsible for controlling our BMR, known as basal metabolic rate. Okay, means whatever it do in the entire day, like all the activities, we require the energy, and that energy is produced by the action of this particular hormone. There is another hormone like produced by a ovary known as estrogen. So this is responsible for development of female features, specific female features. Okay. There is another hormone, I said melatonin, which is secreted by a pineal gland and responsible for our sleep awake cycle or a biological rhythm. Biological rhythm means, as I already explained, that in early morning you feel like at a particular time you feel like eating a breakfast, you feel like eating a lunch, you feel like eating a dinner, and then ultimately at a particular time you feel like sleeping. This is known as a biological rhythm. All these substances which are secreted by any gland, okay, I name again the glands: pituitary, thyroid, adrenal, which is present just above our kidney, then testis, then ovary. All these glands are basically producing substances which are protein in nature. And since they are acting as a factor for various activities in our body, they are referred as hormones. Okay.
Are they chemicals?
Yeah. Sorry?
Are they chemicals?
Yes, they
They're
are chemicals,
Yeah.
but they are proteins. They are made
Yeah.
up of amino acids. Amino
Yeah.
acids are chemicals. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can you, if you realize that they can be also produced in a laboratory, there are large number of hormones which are known as synthetic hormones, like a thyroxine. It can be produced in a laboratory. Growth hormone can be produced in a laboratory. Okay, so they are chemicals, definitely.
तो एक जीन में और एक ग्लैंड में, वो भी ग्लैंड भी केमिकल प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है और जीन भी प्रोटीन प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है, इन दोनों में
नहीं, दोनों में फर्क है. देखिए, ग्लैंड से जो हार्मोन प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, इट इज डेफिनेटली, इसको दूसरी तरीके से एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूं ताकि आपको समझ में आ जाए. इसको ऐसे मानिए, हम एक ग्लैंड का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, जैसे थायराइड ग्लैंड का. मैंने कहा थायराइड ग्लैंड थायरोसिन प्रोड्यूस करती है. ओके, दैट्स फाइन. अब थायराइड ग्लैंड किससे बनी हुई है? सेल से बनी हुई है. देयर आर लार्ज नंबर ऑफ सेल्स प्रेजेंट इन थायराइड ग्लैंड, राइट? उनसे मिलके बनी है. अब उसमें आप इमेजिन करिए एक सेल को, और उस सेल के अंदर इमेजिन करिए जीन को. So if your body requires a thyroxine hormone, in that case, a signal will go to the cell that thyroid hormone need to be produced, or thyroxine has to be produced. So the gene become responsible for thyroxine will become active. And when gene become active, then the thyroxine hormone will be produced in the cell, and then it will be released in the blood, and it will go to the different parts of the body and they influence the particular function like this. So gland and a gene is a different.
Thank you, sir. Thank
you understand it?
Yeah,
clearly?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So a cell consists of a gene. It may be a gland, it may be your skin, it may be your eyes, cell of eyes, it may be a cell of any other parts of the body, it may be a cell of a liver, it may be a cell of a kidney. the genes will function similar way.
Hmm.
Just briefly take an example of adrenal gland. Adrenal gland से दो हार्मोन सीक्रेट होते हैं बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, एक हार्मोन है कोर्टिसोल जो ह्यूमंस में प्रोड्यूस होता है. और जब एक्सेस कोर्टिसोल प्रोड्यूस होता है तो आप गुस्से में आते हैं. इट इज रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर स्ट्रेस. ओके, इसको स्ट्रेस हार्मोन भी कहते हैं. अब स्ट्रेस हार्मोन कब प्रोड्यूस हुआ? किसी ने आपको मारा, किसी ने आपको छेड़ा, किसी ने आपको नुकसान पहुंचाया, आप गुस्से में आ रहे हैं. The signal goes to the cell and the gene which is present in that particular cell become active and responsible for producing cortisol. Something like this.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay. Any
Yeah,
other
so-
question?
भटांग साहब, मेरा एक सवाल और था आपसे.
हाँ बताएं.
आपने कहा कि भाई ये जितने भी फैक्टर्स हैं, genes are genetics is only part of the equation in terms of influencing the various diseases, our behaviors, our patterns, and all the rest of it. तो पिछली बार एक ये सवाल उठा था कि भाई practices like meditation and so on, can they have a profound impact on our body? तो मुझे लगता है कि इन दोनों में तालमेल है आपस में, क्योंकि मेडिटेशन जैसी जो चीज है, it controls our emotions, right? And if external events are having an impact on our diseases, just like genes are having an impact on our diseases, and if meditation causes that positive effect, then it should be accepted कि हाँ भाई meditation practice से भी ये diseases के ऊपर positive influence होता है. आपने कहा कि इस बारे में, हाँ,
Sorry.
आपने कहा कि इसके बारे में कोई पॉजिटिव राय नहीं है.
एक्चुअली क्या है कि इस तरह के एक्सपेरिमेंट हो रहे हैं, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है. पीपल आर ट्राइंग टू स्टडी इट कि क्या मेडिटेशन, डिफरेंट काइंड जो मेडिटेशंस हैं, जो हैं, क्या वो जीन को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं. देखिए, मैंने आपसे वही कहा कि सम काइंड ऑफ प्रैक्टिस, एक पर्टिकुलर प्रैक्टिस जो आप रेगुलरली करते हैं, उसका इन्फ्लुएंस जीन पे होना स्वाभाविक. ठीक है, ये तो मानता हूं. अब हाल ये उस जीन जब एक इन्फ्लुएंस परमानेंट करती है तो इट टेक्स अ लॉन्ग टाइम. ये शॉर्ट पीरियड का नहीं. जैसे आपने देखा कि एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल है कि जो बर्ड्स हैं, दे आर फ्लाइंग. तो ये जो फिनोमिनन उनमें डेवलप हुआ एक लंबे एवोल्यूशनरी पीरियड के बाद हुआ, और वो जीन के इन्फ्लुएंस में ही हुआ. द जीन चेंज बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्टर्स, है ना. जो एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स थे उसमें बर्ड्स को उड़ना था, और उस वजह से वो धीरे धीरे उनका फेदर्स डेवलप हुए, और फिर अल्टीमेटली द बर्ड्स स्टार्टेड फ्लाइंग, है ना. एक्चुअली पहले शुरू में जो हमारे एंसेस्टर्स हैं, the people say that we were the monkeys, and definitely that connection has been explained. So from a 4 pedal we become the 2 pedalist, है ना. 2 पैर वाले जानवर हो गए. तो ये धीरे धीरे एवोल्यूशन चेंज आया. ये जरूर है कि लॉन्ग टर्म प्रैक्टिसेस कैन इन्फ्लुएंस द जीन, और मेडिटेशंस के कई इन्फ्लुएंस लोगों ने स्टडी किए हैं इस तरह के, बट these influences are still not reported as a permanent influences. As long as you use that kind of a meditation or a practice, the gene will show its influence by expressing. Like जब आप कोई प्रैक्टिस करते हैं तो आपको हैप्पीनेस प्रोड्यूस होती है, हैप्पीनेस लगती है, अच्छा लगता है, बॉडी में एक सेंस आता है, फीलिंग आती है. क्यों आती है? Because maybe some hormone like a dopamine, oxytocin, which are responsible for this kind of a mood behavior, are maybe produced in the body. People have tried to measure it under these conditions. कि क्या बॉडी में ऐसा कुछ फंक्शन होता है या कुछ ऐसा चेंजेस होता है, बट डेफिनेट एविडेंस अभी तक नहीं दी है किसी ने. स्टडी बराबर हो रही है.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू.
हमारे यहाँ जयपुर में एक प्रोफेसर थे, शायद इफ समबडी, डॉक्टर एल.के. कोठारी. उन्होंने एक साधु का जिसने समाधि ली थी जमीन के अंदर, और उसने कहा कि मैं अपना सांस रोक के 15 दिन अंदर बैठा रहूंगा, और उन्होंने उसको स्टडी करने की कोशिश की थी कि सांस को रोकने के बाद ये आदमी अंदर बॉडी के फंक्शंस कैसे कंट्रोल करता है। तो उसकी बहुत अच्छी रिपोर्टिंग हुई थी एंड ही वाज वेरी फेमस बिकॉज ऑफ दिस काइंड ऑफ स्टडी। तो इफेक्ट तो होता है, इसमें तो कोई बात नहीं, ये तो मैं भी एग्री करता हूँ, बट वो इफेक्ट कितना परमानेंट है उसके बारे में रिपोर्टेड हुए नहीं है।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
भटनागर जी, मतलब
जी।
जेनेटिक डिसीजेस है, हाउ वी कैन
हाँ।
सॉल्व दीज जेनेटिक डिसीजेस? कैन वी करेक्ट जीन्स?
देखिए ऐसा है कि these days there is a technique called as CRISPR, इसको कहते हैं जीन एडिटिंग, और इसका भी 2 साल पहले इस पर नोबेल प्राइज भी मिला है कुछ साइंटिस्ट को। इस जीन एडिटिंग जैसे अपन कागज पर एडिटिंग करते हैं उसी तरह से जीन की एडिटिंग पॉसिबल है। जैसे मैं एग्जांपल के लिए बताऊं, सपोज एक जीन है हमारे पास और उसका एक छोटा सा पार्ट डिफेक्टिव हो गया है और उसकी वजह से कोई एक डिजीज डेवलप हो गया, जैसे कैंसर ही मान लेते हैं, ठीक है। तो सपोज मान लें ओरल कैंसर डेवलप हो गया है उस जीन के डिफेक्ट की वजह से। अब इसको कैसे करेक्ट किया जा सकता है? एक तरीका तो यह है कि इस जीन को काट के बाहर निकाल दो। वो पॉसिबल है। आज तो मॉलिक्यूलर बायोलॉजी है, जो साइंस है जिस लेवल पे पहुंच गई है, अब उस जीन के काट के बाहर निकाल दो। लेकिन अब उस जीन को अगर काट के आप बाहर निकाल दोगे तो इसका मतलब वो जीन हो गई, एंड जीन इज रिक्वायर्ड इन द बॉडी। क्यों? कि अगर वो जीन प्रेजेंट नहीं होगी तो जो ओरल फंक्शंस हैं वो नहीं होंगे, ठीक है। तो अब मैं क्या करूंगा कि आई कैन सिंथेसाइज द जीन आउटसाइड and replace that defective gene with this new gene. इसको कहते हैं जीन थेरेपी। और इस फंक्शन जिसमें कि जीन को काट के बाहर निकाला और दूसरी सिंथेसाइज जीन को हमने अंदर डाला जो कि नॉर्मल जीन है, उसको हम कहते हैं जीन एडिटिंग। तो ये आज की तारीख में पॉसिबल है, बट इट इज सो एक्सपेंसिव दैट पीपल कांट अफोर्ड इट।
ओके ओके,
बट दूसरी एक बात और भी है, इसको यूं भी समझिए कि हमने एक जीन लैब में सिंथेसाइज की और उसको हमने हमारे डीएनए में बॉडी के अंदर फिट करने की कोशिश की सेल में। अब साइंटिस्ट अभी इस चीज को स्टडी कर रहे हैं कि फिट तो कर दी, तो वो उसको हमने बॉडी में फिट तो कर दिया डीएनए के अंदर, जहां पर उसको रिप्लेस करना था, लेकिन वो बॉडी के अंदर जाके कुछ समय तक तो नॉर्मल बिहेव कर रही है, लेकिन जो वहां प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है दूसरी चीजों का और आसपास की दूसरी जीन जिस तरह से बिहेव कर रही हैं, उसमें कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि वो जीन फिर बदल जाए और कुछ और एबनॉर्मल फंक्शन कर रखे। तो शुरू में तो उसने कैंसर डेवलप किया था, उस जीन को तो आपने हटा दिया, बट पॉसिबली हो सकता है कि वो जीन कुछ और डेवलप कर दे। तो अभी इस पे काम चल रहा है, लेकिन जीन थेरेपी प्रैक्टिस में है, बट इट इज वेरी एक्सपेंसिव और ये संभव है, इससे किया जा सकता है।
ओके, और genes are related to what do you call it? Which kind of what do you call it? Cell and genes, how they are interrelated?
कौन सी जीन?
Cell and genes, cells and genes.
Cell and genes
interrelated.
Can you
cells and genes?
Interrelation of genes. You call it. I am not able to get word which you said.
Actually, I am asking what is the interrelation?
Word को डाल दीजिए.
हाँ, interrelation between cells and genes.
अच्छा, interrelation between cells and genes. That means I am not able to explain in the lecture again. See, one thing I tell you again, your body is made up of cells. इसको ऐसे मानिए. आपके शरीर का एक हिस्सा, चाहे वो किडनी हो, चाहे वो लिवर हो, चाहे वो हार्ट हो, चाहे वो आपकी स्किन हो, चाहे वो ब्रेन हो, सब में सेल्स हैं. छोटी which are basically called as cells. चाहे कोई जानवर हो, उसकी भी बॉडी सेल से बनी होती है, हमारी बॉडी भी सेल से बनी होती है. आपने बैक्टीरिया देखा है ना? बैक्टीरिया का जीव हो रहा है ना? तो सेल्स हमारी बॉडी में बहुत हैं. लाखों हमारी बॉडी में प्रेजेंट है। इस सेल को अगर स्ट्रक्चर को हम देखें तो इस सेल के अंदर एक बाहर मेम्ब्रेन होगी और उसके अंदर एक छोटा सा गोलाकार स्ट्रक्चर होगा, गोल स्ट्रक्चर, सर्कुलर स्ट्रक्चर, जिसको हम कहते हैं न्यूक्लियस।
अच्छा।
हिंदी में इसको कहते हैं केंद्र। तो और आप इसको केंद्र समझ सकते हैं। केंद्र मीन्स ये एक सेल की पूरी एक्टिविटीज को कंट्रोल करता है। सेल में किसी भी तरह की एक्टिविटी हो रही है वो न्यूक्लियस या केंद्रक ही कंट्रोल करता है। अब सवाल ये कैसे करता है? इस केंद्रक के अंदर जाएं तो मैंने आपसे कहा कुछ क्रोमोसोम्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं, ठीक है, फाइबर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स व्हिच आर प्रेजेंट इन दिस। मैं भी आपको अगर एक फोटो दिखाऊं, आप अगर सब चूंकि लैपटॉप यूज करते हैं तो आप उस पे एक वर्ड डालिए सेल, तो एक फोटो आ जाएगा उसका। गूगल पे कॉर्नर पे होता है जीमेल एंड इमेज, तो इमेज को टच करिए और इमेज के बाद एक वर्ड डालिए गूगल पर सेल, तो बहुत से फोटोज आएंगे उसमें सेल के।
अच्छा।
अब तो आप उसको अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हैं कि ये सेल क्या है और कैसा होता है। तो उस न्यूक्लियस के अंदर फाइबर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं जिनको हम क्रोमोसोम्स कहते हैं। और आपको पता है हमारे अंदर कितने क्रोमोसोम्स होते हैं? 46।
अच्छा।
अगर 46 क्रोमोसोम से कम हो जाए या ज्यादा हो जाए तो हम बदल जाएंगे। हर स्पेसीज में, रेट में एक फिक्स नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम होगा, ह्यूमन में एक फिक्स नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम होगा, टाइगर में एक फिक्स नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम होगा, लॉयन में एक फिक्स नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम होगा। अगर क्रोमोसोम कम ज्यादा हो जाएंगे तो बदल जाएंगे हम। ओके, ये जो क्रोमोसोम्स हैं ये किसके बने हुए हैं? डीएनए के बने हुए हैं, ठीक है। अब हम आते हैं जीन पे। मैंने आपसे कहा कि ये जो डीएनए है क्रोमोसोम के अंदर, ये बहुत बड़ा है। अगर आप इसको खोल दो पूरे डीएनए को, जो कि एक केंद्र के अंदर प्रेजेंट है, एक सेल के अंदर, सिर्फ एक सेल के अंदर, तो उसको अगर हम लंबा करें धागे के जैसे, तो वो पृथ्वी से चंद्रमा तक जा सकता है। इतना लंबा डीएनए होता है हमारे अंदर, एक सेल के अंदर। आप आशा करेंगे इस बात को। अब इतना लंबा जो डीएनए है, इसमें कुछ पोर्शंस, कुछ रीजन्स जो कि 50 से 100 यूनिट्स की बनी होती हैं या 200 यूनिट की बनी होती हैं, उनको कहते हैं जीन। क्यों कहते हैं जीन? क्योंकि यह कोई फंक्शन है। जैसे एक जीन रिलेटेड है हमारे ग्रोथ से, एक जीन रिलेटेड हमारे किसी और बॉडी के किसी और फंक्शन से, तो इस तरह से हर जीन का अपना अपना फंक्शन है। अभी आपने नाम सुना होगा ह्यूमन जीनोम प्रोजेक्ट, हालांकि वो 2003 में खत्म हो गया। और ह्यूमन के जो क्रोमोसोम है या डीएनए क्रोमोसोम के अंदर प्रेजेंट होती हैं, वो सारी जीन को स्टडी कर रहे हैं लोगों ने कि कितनी टोटल जीन्स प्रेजेंट है। आप इसको भी ह्यूमन जीनोम प्रोजेक्ट, उसमें आपको पता लगेगा कि ह्यूमन के अंदर कितनी जीन्स प्रेजेंट है डीएनए के ऊपर, उसको स्टडी लिया है। ओके, तो डीएनए which is present on chromosome, and chromosomes are present in nucleus, which is a kendra inside a cell. Okay, so this is the difference between a gene and a cell. और बताइए।
Okay, Shobha ji, you have some question? Shobha ji.
Vandami Samni ji and Namaste Bhatnagar sir. I was just thinking that there was a Harvard study in 2017 where they said that there had been 172 genes which were involved in in diseases like which lower blood pressure and other things when they were doing meditation. And so the thing is, I was just trying to correlate Jainism with this gene thing. So the genes which are causing these things, they are all Pudgal, of course. And it is because of our karma that these changes are happening in the genes due to Artha and Raudra Dhyan. Supposing we change it to through meditation, they have said that the genes also undergo changes. That is, they have so far found out 172 genes undergo changes for the better when they do meditation and other things. So these karmas are the nama karma, which is causing, and also the moniya karma, which is causing these things. Supposing with our purushat, we change these genes, do you think these gene changes can be inherited? Because you did say that some old virus in our ancestors have come to our present life, right? So when these changes due to our samvara has changed the genes to a better life, to a better effect, benefit, do you think it could be inherited by our progenies when?
See, madam, actually, I am not an expert of the Jain philosophy, and I'm just actually explaining the scientific process. And since I have not much studied the Jain philosophy, I cannot directly correlate it. But what I can say here is that it is possible that the genes can be inherited, this type of genes. And I already said that suppose meditation, I try to correlate it with the genes, that if you are practicing a particular kind of meditation, particular kind of meditation practice, there is a possibility that the particular gene is influenced, which is present on the DNA. And who knows that that particular gene is permanently affected. But as such, I have not seen any evidence of this kind, that these genes are, these kind of practices has permanently changed the gene and then ultimately inherited it next generation. I don't know this. But
so actually for actual inheritance of genes, it needs to be a permanent change, right?
Yes.
And how long does it take for a permanent change to occur?
It's not necessary, but it may take thousands of years. See, the inheritance is related to evolution. And if you correlate with the evolution, you can very well understand that these kind of permanent changes are basically happens in a long time. Some changes are related to 1 lakh years.
Doing meditation in this Janma doesn't.
Sorry.
So doing meditation in this Janma doesn't ensure that it can be impressed upon our genes for lives to come and take us into better births next, right?
Basically, I feel that no, kind of practices cannot affect a gene. For a short period, when you do some practices for some period, yes, some genes can get activated and then they function like in that way. But permanent effects, I don't know. I have not seen any paper or research on this.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you.
Yes, and now, Vinuji, would you like to ask something?
Yes, please. Namaskar, and thank you for taking my question. My question is, with the emotions, do they trigger or are they a direct cause? And that is the first part. And the second part is that when you said the genes are inherited, if we've already given birth to our child and then we undergo something in which our genes have been impacted, will they then they cannot influence, or can
No.
they? Or but can they
No, no.
influence if not change?
No.
Thank you.
No. See, when you give the birth to a child, your chromosomes have already shifted to your child. Okay, part comes from mother and part comes from father. So these chromosomes are basically already transferred to your child. Now there is no no means by which anything which influence you can be transferred to your child, because anything from you will go to your child during your conceiving and then giving a birth to the child. Only during that period it is possible. Okay. Now you can influence the behavior of your child externally by external factors, but not through genes.
Oh.
जीन से तो हो सकता है जब आपने कंसीव किया हो और उसमें फादर के क्रोमोसोम्स और मदर के क्रोमोसोम्स आपस में मिले हों, तो जो फादर की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्रोमोसोम में आएंगे और जो मदर की तो फिर वो क्रोमोसोम चाइल्ड को ट्रांसफर होंगे, तब तो होता। या जैसे मैंने लास्ट लेक्चर पे ये कहा था, मेरे फादर को बहुत अच्छी ड्राइंग आती थी, बहुत अच्छे थे, ही वाज वेरी गुड आर्टिस्ट। हालांकि उन्होंने कभी कोई प्रोफेशनल आर्टिस्ट्री नहीं सीखी थी, लेकिन अगर सपोज आपको अभी उनके सामने बिठा दें तो वो आप पिक्चर ड्रॉ कर सकते थे। अब आप बिलीव करेंगे इस बात को कि मैंने कोई प्रोफेशनल ट्रेनिंग नहीं ली है ड्राइंग में, बट आई कैन ऑल्सो ड्रॉ योर पिक्चर।
Okay.
That means it was transferred that time, है ना?
Yeah. और उनको भी आया होगा कहीं से।
हाँ।
तो फिर हम कैसे, जब when people say that the sins of the father are presented in, you know, are passed on to the children, तो
ये उसका
कोई
भी होता है
इमोशनल,
ना।
हाँ वो कोई इमोशनल भी होता है या?
अभी देखिए, आप दूसरी बात बताऊं, सपोज आप जैसे घर में बिहेव करती हैं और आपके बच्चे आपको देखते हैं, तो ये एक्चुअली इन्वायरमेंटल फैक्टर है। वो जो उसके आसपास जो कुछ देखते हैं वो उसको इन्फ्लुएंस करता है। आप कैसे लोगों से बात करती हैं, आप जैसे बाजार में सामान खरीदने जाती हैं, तो हाउ यू बिहेव, दैट इज अफेक्टिंग योर चिल्ड्रन, बट इट इज नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ जीन, है
So
ना?
then
जीन तो उस
हमारी
समय हो गई, जो ट्रांसफर होना था वो उस समय हो गया।
गुड और बैड, वो अब हम उसको कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते, वो तो हमने दे दिया।
नहीं, बट देखिए, बैड बात भी हो सकता है, बट उसका रीजन जीन नहीं है। एक बच्चा अच्छा है शुरू में और बाद में बिगड़ जाता है। क्यों? क्योंकि वो उसके आसपास जो फैक्टर्स देखता है, उसको देख के वो अपना वो ऑरा डेवलप करता है, तो वो अलग चीज है। अब ये हो सकता है उसमें उसके अंदर जो जीन्स हैं जो आप लोगों से ट्रांसफर हुई हैं, उसमें से कहीं कोई ऐसी जीन हो जो उन फैक्टर से, एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर से अफेक्ट हुई है और उसको ये सब करवा रही है उससे। दैट इज पॉसिबल।
ओके। और फिर इमोशंस का,
छोटी सी बात बताऊं, मैं एक प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वॉल्व था कहीं पर, और उस प्रोजेक्ट में एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज, हालांकि बाद में क्योंकि आर्मी से रिलेटेड था, इसलिए मेरे को फिर बाद में कहा साहब इसमें से अब आप जब हाईएस्ट लेवल पे चला गए तो अब आप उसके पार्ट नहीं रहेंगे। तो वो एक्सपेरिमेंट कुछ इस तरह से हो रहा था कि आपकी डाइट में, आप जानते हैं माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स होते हैं, जैसे जिंक है, मैग्नीशियम है, ये इस तरह के जो कंपोनेंट्स हैं ये बहुत बड़ा इन्फ्लुएंस प्ले करते हैं। जैसे जिंक की कमी होती है तो कहते हैं कि बाल व्हाइट होते हैं और आपकी जो स्किन होती है वो खुरदरी हो जाती है, इसलिए आपके जो स्किन के लोशन आते हैं उसमें जिंक बहुत ज्यादा होता है। अगर आपको पता हो, हमारे यहाँ ट्रेडिशनली कहा जाता है कि लोहे की जो कढ़ाई है उसमें खाना बनाना चाहिए। पता है क्यों? लोहे की कढ़ाई में खाना बनेगा तो जो आयरन है
वो ट्रांसफर,
और आयरन मिलेगा तो जो हीमोग्लोबिन है, जो खून के रेडनेस के लिए रेस्पॉन्सिबल है, प्रोटीन, वो एक्चुअली ज्यादा बनेगा, है ना? अब ये सब जो चीजें हैं, मैं आपको यही कह रहा था कि अब ये हो सकता है कि वो बच्चा जो है उसको कहीं कुछ ऐसा दिखा और वो जो फैक्टर्स हैं बाहर के, उन्होंने उसको इन्फ्लुएंस किया और वो उस तरह से बिहेव करने लग गया। तो अब ये तो कुछ कह नहीं सकते कि उसका डर, उसके अंदर कोई जीन ऐसी हो सकती है जो उसमें ट्रिगर हो गई उस फैक्टर से, और वो उसको उससे इस तरह से एक्सप्रेस करा रही है, वो अलग चीज हो सकती है, पर वो कभी आपसे ट्रांसफर हुई होगी।
आपने वो इमोशंस का भी काफी ज्यादा लिखा था, और वो आई मीन स्लाइड पे था और आप बता रहे थे, तो इमोशंस भी तो जैसे वो क्या ट्रिगर करती हैं या बिल्कुल चेंज करती हैं? आर दे रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर ट्रिगरिंग, और आर दे रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर I was going to or are they a direct cause? The emotions before and after.
इमोशंस बेसिकली, जैसे मैंने कहा आपसे कि आप कभी बहुत खुश हैं, कभी आप बहुत गुस्से में हैं, कभी आप बहुत सैड हैं, डिप्रेशन में हैं, ये सब क्या है? ये इमोशंस हैं, है ना? कभी आप किसी चीज को देख के बहुत खुश होती हैं, क्या है? इमोशन है। अभी आप सबने चैतन्य जी को आप देखेंगे और बड़ी खुश होंगे, और लंबे समय बाद देख रहे आ रहे हैं, आपसे मिलकर बहुत खुशी हुई। व्हाट इज दिस? सम काइंड ऑफ इमोशन, राइट? तो बेसिकली तो ये एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स हैं, लेकिन कहीं न कहीं जीन का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है इसमें। जैसे क्या हुआ, आप बहुत इमोशनली अटैच फील करती हैं सपने जैसे, लेकिन सपोज कोई और, सॉरी यार किसी नाम नहीं लेना चाहता, बट XYZ नहीं फील करता, है ना? ऐसा भी आपने देखा होगा कि मदर अपने बच्चों से बहुत अटैच्ड है, बट देयर आर सर्टेन मदर व्हिच आर नॉट अटैच्ड। देखा होगा आपने, ऐसा कैसे होता? तो कहीं न कहीं इन्फ्लुएंस तो है जीन का, बट इसलिए इमोशनल के लिए कहा जाता है, इमोशनल के लिए कि बिहेवियर एक्सप्रेशन है। आप जो कंडीशन सामने देखते हैं, जैसे आपको कोई धोखा हुआ तो आप इट इज इमोशन। अब उसमें वो जो धोखा, उसमें जीन कहाँ आई? लेकिन कई ऐसे लोग हैं जो डिप्रेशन में अक्सर चले जाते हैं, जीन इज आउट देयर।
So I think my question is wrong. It's not emotions trigger or a direct cause, but I think genes trigger emotions and are a direct cause.
हेलो, हाँ नमस्ते, बस ठीक है, मैं वापस करूँ 2 मिनट में?
Sorry. Thank you.
So now last question, I would like to ask
हाँ,
Professor Bhatnagar that as you will see, there are certain number of genes in each and every species. So who decides what number should be in particular species, and what kind of genes there should be in the body of that species? So that cause or that main reason which we are trying to explain through this karmic philosophy, would you like to say something about it?
You said initially who decides?
Yes, who decides the number of genes in particular species or function of genes?
Is the evolution? Is the evolution has decided? Nobody can decide. Maybe a god can decide the rat will have 23 and the human will have 46.
Okay. See, when I was taking some lecture on evolutionary theory of Darwin in the Western University, and they were also telling that almost 40% of people of the world believe in this theory and 60% reject it. And according to Jainism also, there is no such kind of evolution, but we can say that it depends on the karmas of each individual. According to that, they develop in next life. They may, they may develop from consciousness to.
I'm sorry to say one thing.
Yes.
As a scientist, I'm sorry to say, don't become angry. And I told to many people at the Vigyan Samiti where I'm involved, it is totally a Jain organization. I said that you can't turn everything towards the Jainism. It's not possible. how can you completely assign to a genus? Is it possible?
Okay.
How can a genus say that there is no evolution? Very strange. I don't believe this.
Okay.
What people are trying to develop, sorry, I'm sorry saying that.
No, no,
You
no.
can
It is not
remove
matter
it
of
from the
sorry.
lectures.
Yeah.
But I'm very
Okay,
openly saying that explaining everything on the basis of genus is totally wrong. How can you explain that?
Okay. So just I wanted
No,
to.
you are reading the entire science which is developed for the last so many years. Are they all scientists are fools?
Okay. No, just I'm talking
How
to
can you
know
say
that is there some reason which science can say about it?
No, there is no reason for it.
Okay.
I don't believe it. Maybe some other person can help you in this, but I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, yeah, Alok Jain, would you like to say?
भंडारी
Anything more? Sorry?
भंडारी सर, एक सवाल पूछ लूं आपसे और
हाँ, बोलिए बोलिए।
ये 3 अलग अलग प्रैक्टिसेस है। जब भी किसी को बीमारी होती है, या तो उसको एलोपैथिक ट्रीटमेंट दी जाती है, या होम्योपैथिक ट्रीटमेंट दी जाती है, या आयुर्वेदिक ट्रीटमेंट दी जाती है। फ्रॉम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ सेल्युलर बायोलॉजी, इन तीनों का इफेक्ट, how do you reconcile the different ways these methods treat the disease as far as microbiology or genetics or cellular biology is concerned?
सर, इसमें जेनेटिक्स तो क्या है, मैं तो एक्चुअली सीधी सी एक बात तो यहाँ पर ये है कि जो तीनों प्रैक्टिसेस हैं बेसिकली वो आपकी चॉइस है कि आप एलोपैथिक में जाना चाहते हैं या होम्योपैथिक में जाना चाहते हैं या आयुर्वेदिक में जाना चाहते हैं। और आपको ये भी पता है कि जो एलोपैथिक है वो केमिकल मेडिसिन हैं, सारी केमिकल्स हैं जिनसे ट्रीटमेंट होता है आपका। जो आयुर्वेदिक हैं उसमें सब प्लांट बेस्ड मेडिसिन हैं, ओके। और बेसिकली जो होम्योपैथिक है उसमें पोषण है और माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स हैं, जैसे ये जिंक, मैग्नीशियम, इनके जो फॉर्मुलेशंस हैं वो हैं बेसिकली होम्योपैथिक में। और वो यही कहते हैं कि इनके जो कंसंट्रेशन के चेंजेस हैं उससे एक्चुअली वो डिजीज को ठीक करते हैं। तो हर एक के अलग अलग प्रिंसिपल्स हैं। अब सवाल ये है कि एलोपैथिक आप जब यूज करते हो जब अर्ली ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए, जैसे हार्ट अटैक में आयुर्वेदिक नहीं आएगा, वहां तो एलोपैथी यूज करनी पड़ेगी बिकॉज द आयुर्वेदिक प्रिपरेशंस आर स्लो प्रोसेस। सिमिलरली होम्योपैथी आल्सो टेक्स अ लॉन्ग टाइम। तो अगर हार्ट अटैक में आप आयुर्वेदिक में जाएंगे तो फिर तो सिचुएशन ही अलग हो जाएगी। तो उसमें तो आपको एलोपैथिक में ही जाना पड़ेगा, कोई आपके पास कोई नहीं है, और है ना। कंपैरेटिवली होम्योपैथी वो और स्लो प्रोसेस है, बहुत लंबा टाइम लगता है उसमें करेक्शन में। तो इसलिए ये तो तीनों तो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन योर चॉइस। अब इसमें तो जेनेटिक्स का इन्वॉल्व है।
The angle that I was coming from, at the end of the day, it's chemical imbalance in the body which leads to a disease.
Yeah.
And all these techniques are trying is rectify that imbalance. Some takes longer, some takes quicker. The whole idea of the allopathy is when things have gone so far that you need instant reaction, तो वो stronger chemicals से वो imbalance को ठीक कर देते। पर सवाल तो ये कि at the end of the day अगर chemical imbalance से ही ठीक हो रही है, कोई हम attack कर रहे हैं, and chemical imbalance is related to genetics. After all, the whole science of genetics is related to production of proteins and chemicals and what the body needs. ले दे के तो वही है ना। तो उस दृष्टि से मैं जानना चाह रहा था कि आपने क्या इस बारे में कुछ रिसर्च हुई है या आपने कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन हैं आपकी?
देखिए एलोपैथी में भी ऐसी बहुत सी मेडिसिन हैं जो डायरेक्टली जीन्स को अफेक्ट करती हैं, ऐसा नहीं है, है ना। ऐसी बहुत सी हैं और कई जीन मेडिसिन तो ऐसी हैं जिनको अब इसलिए बैन कर दिया गया है कि दे आर डायरेक्टली प्रोड्यूसिंग डिजीज। बहुत सी हैं ऐसी, है ना। वो डायरेक्टली जीन को इन्फ्लुएंस करती है, उनको या तो म्यूटेट करती हैं या उनको चेंज कर देती हैं। और बेसिकली हम ये डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि जीन सीक्वेंस अगर बदल जाती है या म्यूटेट हो जाती है तो देयर में बी डेवलपमेंट ऑफ सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ अ डिजीज। सो इसमें तो कोई शक नहीं है. अब बेसिकली क्या होता है कि large number of chemicals are produced, then they are studied for some kind of effect like infection on skin or heart में जो कोलेस्ट्रॉल है उसको साफ करने के लिए, या सपोज ब्लड को प्यूरिफाई करने के लिए. ऐसी बहुत सी मेडिसिन मार्केट में है, लेकिन उसमें जो कंपोनेंट्स हैं अब वो किस तरह से हमारी बॉडी में जाके बिहेव करते हैं उस पे तो एक लॉन्ग टर्म स्टडी हो तभी पता चलता है ना. और बहुत से केमिकल्स बैन हो गए हैं जिनका, जैसे अभी आपने, आप तो वहां विदेश में हैं, पैरासिटामोल कंप्लीटली बैन है बाहर, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ धड़ल्ले से चल रही है. डिक्लोफेनाक बिल्कुल बंद है, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ धड़ल्ले से चल रही है एज अ पेन किलर. ऐसे बहुत से मेडिसिन हैं.
निमिसुलाइड भी चल रही है.
न्यूज़ लग रही है और इनके हार्मफुल इफेक्ट्स हैं. They are related to cancer and certain other diseases. तो अब ये तो देखिए केमिकल का इफेक्ट तो होता है, इसमें तो कोई बात ही नहीं.
Myself, doctor from India. Myself, Dr. Vijay Sanchetti, and what we do in our daily day-to-day practice, we use both type of medicines. Any Ayurvedic medicines we use for day-to-day purposes, or just like a cough, running nose, or like this. These यहाँ तक हम यूज कर सकते हैं आयुर्वेद, और लेकिन जहाँ जरूरत पड़े मैकेनिकल डिसीज है, यू हैव टू गो फॉर एलोपैथी. और वहाँ कोई ये अट्टहास ना करे कि नहीं मैं आयुर्वेदिक करके बैठूं. Sometimes it goes wrong because I came across one patient. He was having hypertension and he was very young boy, 18, 19 he was, and I was prescribing him day-to-day medicine for hypertension, because according to his age, I saw his age, it was just 18 or 19. He has to go for long further. But within 1 or 2 years, someone told or insisted that boy to take medicines like what I say, Ayurvedic medicine or like that and like that. And what happens? Within 2 or 3 years, he goes for hypertension, उसके बाद में stroke, and this boy, I'm sorry to say, expired within 5 years.
Actually, in fact,
so sometimes sometimes it is that important where to use Ayurveda and where not. Especially one should know where we should not use the Ayurvedic medicine. I was teaching in Ayurvedic Medical College. I was teaching in Ayurvedic Medical College, and they are using Basti. Basti is nothing but it is just like enema in boy of the age of 12. And what happens? The sphincters of that boy, anal sphincters, वो relax हो जाते हैं. So there are many things to see. This Ayurveda and allopathy, these are different. Where to use, that is more important.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, sir. I have gone through all your lecture.
Actually, these days there is also a problem that some of the Ayurvedic doctors, they are prescribing certain Ayurvedic medicines, but medicines consist of allopathic drugs. They basically label it as an Ayurvedic drug, but still the allopathic medicines are there, and the combination, who knows how it affects? Nobody knows about.
There are again they make powders.
देखिए, मैं आपको एक बात बता दूं कि 130 अरब जो लोग हैं दुनिया में, हर एक की बॉडी अलग तरह से रेस्पॉन्स करती है. केमिकल्स को, ड्रग्स को, इन्वायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स को. मेरे को गर्मी बहुत ज्यादा लगती है, आपको कम लगती है. मेरे को ठंड बहुत ज्यादा लगती है, आपको कम लगती है ना. मैं कोई चीज खाता हूँ, मेरा पेट एकदम खराब हो जाता है, आपको कुछ नहीं होता. आप कुछ खा लो अगर आपको सब ठीक रहता है. Everybody behaves differently and respond differently to different things. ये आप मान के चलिए. तो अब कोई मेडिसिन आप ले रहे हैं, चाहे वो आयुर्वेदिक हो, चाहे एलोपैथिक हो, चाहे होम्योपैथिक हो, कोई डॉक्टर, कोई एक्सपर्ट वर्ड का ये कंफर्म नहीं कर सकता आपको कि नहीं इस मेडिसिन से 100% आपको फायदा पहुंचेगा. It's all on trial and error basis.
experience is very much
तो मैंने आपका
important
डिजीज
for a
में
doctor.
दी थी, आप ठीक हो गए और गड़बड़ हो गई तो साहब अब क्या करें, मेडिसिन आपको लग नहीं रही है. दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंड.
So, sir,
तो
diagnosis
आपको
is important, isn't it? So,
very
diagnosis is
very
important.
डायग्नोसिस तो ये बताता है कि आपको कौन सी डिजीज है या कैसे हो रही है, क्या हो रहा है बॉडी में, क्या चेंज आ रहे हैं, वो सब तो ठीक है. बट हाउ डॉक्टर कैन रेस्पॉन्ड, मैंने जो मेडिसिन आपको दे दी है वो क्या कर रही है बॉडी में,
That's right.
उसको क्या पता.
तो सर
कैसे देखेगा वो?
हमारे इसमें यदि हम इमोशन को ज्यादा तर्क दे रहे हैं तो हमें बुरी लगी हुई चीजें याद रहती है और अच्छी जो हुई है वो याद नहीं रहती. तो इसका क्या कारण?
बहुत डिफिकल्ट है आंसर करना है इसको.
Because ये अनुभव तो नहीं है पर वो चीजें बहुत याद रहती.
हाँ होता है ऐसा, होता है, बात सही है.
तो वही हम
very
यदि
difficult to answer.
बुरी चीजों के बदले अच्छी चीजों को याद
मैं
करें तो
आपके इस
उसके
क्वेश्चन को लिख लेता हूँ, मैं ध्यान रखूंगा, देखें इसका कोई जवाब मेरे दिमाग में आ पाए.
छोटी सी पीन भी चुभती है हमें तो उसका दर्द बहुत ज्यादा होता है.
Exactly.
बहुत कुछ खुशियां मिलती है तो भी हम तो हाँ हाँ ठीक है इतना ही बोलते हैं.
तो
That is,
इससे
I think मानव का स्वभाव ही है, तो सहज स्वभाव से ही ऐसे होता है.
बट मैं
तो
आपको फिर एक बात, इसको एक छोटे से एग्जांपल से एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूँ कि आपने पिन चुभाई तो आपके तो उंगली के कोई असर नहीं हुआ, आप आराम से थोड़ी देर पेन हुआ और उसके बाद नॉर्मल हो गए. और एक जना ऐसा होता है जिसके पिन चुभाए, कल उसके फिर पस पड़ गया और वो पक गया और उंगली काटनी पड़ गई, ऐसा भी होता है. तो मैंने कहा आपसे कि इट इज अ रेस्पॉन्स ऑफ द बॉडी.
इमोशन की कोई लैंग्वेज नहीं है ना सर. यदि बुरा लगा है तो इमोशन की कोई लैंग्वेज ही नहीं है.
अच्छा, कई बार ऐसा होता है कि ये भी मैं आपको बता दूं, बहुत सी बात, जैसे अभी मैंने कोई बात कही थी वो जानिस पे, हालांकि ठीक है मैंने एग्रेसिवली कहा था, लेकिन हो सकता है आपको बुरा लग जाए. या मैंने कोई ऐसी बात कि मैंने तो सोचा ही नहीं था कि आपको बुरा लगे, पर आपको बुरा लग गया. ऐसा भी होता है कई बार. बाद में फिर जब हम बात करते हैं तब पता लगता है कि सामने वाले ने तो कुछ कहा ही नहीं था, बट यू फील बैड. दिस इज अ परसेप्शन ऑफ योर माइंड. वो कैसे किसी चीज को लेता है, कंसीव करता है, फिर उसको
हम एआई को बोल रहे हैं सर कि हमें बुरा लगा तो हमारे सिर पर कोई भाषा लिख दे कि हमें बुरा लगा है. तो हम उस पर बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि वो लैंग्वेज, ताकि वो आगे हमें बुरा ना लगा, ऐसा कुछ ना बोले कि और बुरा लग जाए तो वहीं रुक जाए. तो हम बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हैं इस बात पर कि बुरे की एक भाषा होनी चाहिए कि हमें बुरा लग रहा है, बस वो लिख कर आ जाए ऊपर.
I think Jainism has
नहीं, but
that.
वो आपके चेहरे पे जाता है, आपके चेहरे पे जाता है. The body immediately shows the reaction.
हाँ, पर सर कभी कभी ना कोई चीज बुरी लग भी रही है तो सामने वाला बोले जा रहा है.
Jainism has an answer. Jainism में है खमत खाना. तो खमत खाना है Jainism में.
खमत खाना में तो हम नाटक करते हैं ना, हमें चीजें बुरी लग रही है फिर भी हम तो खमत खाना नहीं. कल ही हुआ मेरे साथ, कल की बात है मेरे साथ की. मेरे को समनी जी ने बोला देरी से क्यों आए, हालांकि उनको मालूम था कि मैं देर से क्यों आई, पर 4 लोगों के बीच में मैं बोल नहीं पाई. तो मैंने बोला ना ही मुझे झूठ बोलना है ना आपको सच बताना है, ठीक है ना. झूठ मुझे बोलना नहीं था कि मैं क्यों आई और सच मुझे बोल. तो इतनी बात मुझे बुरी लग गई, उतनी छोटी सी बात मुझे बुरी लग गई. अब वो कैसे समझे कि मुझे बुरा लग गया, पर तो मैंने नाटक किया कि नहीं मुझे तो सब ठीक है, अच्छा है, कोई बात नहीं. पर ये तो लैंग्वेज यदि ऊपर लिख के आ जाती तो वो समझ जाते ना कि इसको बुरा लग गया. ऐसा कुछ तो होता ना, कोई तो कुछ तो बोलते कि कब हम नाटक करते हैं ना कभी कभी.
ये कर रहा है अच्छा है.
But I think आपने जवाब दिया, you know, like आपने जैसे पहले बोला कि it's a human reaction और हम भूल जाते हैं all the good things and we remember the one, you know. So I think we have to constantly remind ourselves of that.
विनोद जी, आप किसी कोई जो अच्छा आपका पर्सन है उसको आप माइंड पे नहीं भूलते हो कभी भी.
नहीं भूल सकते, इसलिए
वो कभी न कभी आपको वापस उसका कोरिलेशन आता है तो ध्यान आ जाता है कि मेरे साथ अच्छा हुआ था.
बहुत अच्छा हुआ था।
तो
और
इससे
एक्चुअली इंट्यूशन
परमानेंट
जो
परमानेंट तो नहीं हुआ है सर।
हाँ, क्योंकि वो एक डोर बंदी होती है. Some things are metaphysical which don't have an explanation. You know,
That's
जब
right.
हम बहुत उदास होते हैं तो दिल उधर ही जाता है. उसका कोई explanation
Yeah.
नहीं है. Like they said, emotion has no language. So same thing with spirituality. I feel I was not born a Jain, पर मुझे लगता है कि जो भी हमारा spiritual practice है जिसको हम accept करते हैं, at the end of the day we don't even ask for an explanation. That is a safe place to fall.
पर मैं हमेशा लोगों से पूछती हूँ कि स्पिरिचुअलिटी और रिलीजियस में डिफरेंस क्या है?
I think for me, spirituality is कि आप religion को ये नहीं सोचें कि वो dogma है या it is binding you down. You have to go with accepting कि religion जो भी है वो उसके intention है to raise you higher. और कुछ हमारी अपनी limitations हैं. हम अभी वहां तक जाने को ready नहीं है, जैसे उपवास and all of that. But I'm like anyone else, you know. But I just go with the faith कि I know वो मेरा वो उस रास्ते में मैं जाऊंगी तो ठीक होगा. Because what's the alternative? The other alternative is कि कहीं भी नहीं जाए तो it's not, you know, going to help us.
पर रिलीजियस तो ऐसा है ना कि हम वहाँ कुछ बोलते नहीं है, वहाँ सारी चीजें बस बोलना नहीं है, कुछ भी सब में हाँ हाँ भरनी है ना. वो लोग जब भी बोलते हैं तो हम एज अ रिलीजियस पर्सन के पास भी जब भी जाते हैं तो हम सामने नहीं बोलते ना. एक क्या बोलते हैं उसको, एक गुड बिहेवियर होती है. और स्पिरिचुअलिटी फिर क्या डिफरेंस है दोनों में, मुझे समझ नहीं.
Actually, I don't have an answer.
Spirituality is what we say, the higher concept in which you connect yourself to your higher authentic self. Okay? And you remain in that.
I'm sorry, you continue your discussions and
Yes.
I take leave. So thank you very
Thank
much
you.
everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we want to stop here and we will discuss later. So thank you, Professor
Yeah, sure.
Bhatnagar, for delivering talks and for addressing all our participants and answering to their questions.
Thank you.
And you have one more lecture, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so next Thursday, are you available?
Still don't know, but yeah, I will make sure that on Thursday I will be available.
Okay, so I will announce according to your activity.
Yeah.
So I will ask you to email, and if you are available on next Thursday,
right.
then we will announce.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
So thank you for delivering so wonderful informative
Thank you.
talk on
Thank you so
science.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you, Vandani.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samniji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just Neetaji, you need not to keep silence before any religious persons. If you have any questions, you can ask and before them. If it is cross question, you can also ask. So
Yes.
there is no such a kind of protocol that you need not to speak any words. Whatever is being said, just you have to accept. So that is the matter.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
Namaste,
It happens
Vandamiji.
generally. Yes, Tushar bhai.
Namaste, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I am not asking questions, but I'm listening. Yeah, and if there is a question, I will definitely ask.
You are joining the talk, that is good, but it would be better that our participants should ask some questions so that the speaker would see that yes, the participants are responding in a proper way. Yes.
Okay, sure. All right. Okay, I will ask. All right, in future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Samniji. It was very interesting.
Yes, Acharya Tulsi said that there are three aspects of religion. One is spirituality, second is morality, and third is rituals. So at present, people take religion in the sense of rituals only. Okay, but they don't go to that higher state of religion, which is called spirituality. That is the highest or supermost aspect of religion.
But Samniji, if we are studying with you and our other Samnijis, we are fortunate that you don't enforce any rituals. And I think that is what is so attractive.
Yes, because we say that rituals are just to connect you to yourself, but they are not necessary. They are not necessary. You can connect to yourself directly without any rituals.
Yes, but we need a direction. So your role is like to shine a light and to चाहे हमारे अंदर भी कुछ होता है पर हमें दिखता नहीं है जब तक like Samni ji या whoever we follow.
Because the self is an abstract reality. So common people cannot connect directly to the abstract truths or realities.
Correct. And there is more of
some concrete path to follow to reach to that level.
Yes.
And that's why the rituals are meant.
And Samni ji, the words that you speak or like all Samni ji speak, I think वो वातावरण change हो जाता है. Like when you come to a class, what you are and what you become when you leave a class, there is a change in that. I presume it's a chemical change.
Yes.
I agree with her, Samani ji.
Yeah.
I agree with her. Very. उनकी आभा है ना, उनका प्रभाव है, aura,
Yeah.
Very nice, pure aura that affects.
Yes, vibrations.
Yeah.
And I, like मैं Orlando में रहती हूँ, तो my Samnijis are in Orlando, and I sometimes go and see them. या मैं उनके lectures सुनती हूँ. फिर जब मैं कभी नहीं join करती, I feel terribly guilty. और हालांकि Samni ji कभी कुछ नहीं कहते हैं, and then I don't join, and then जब मैं बहुत दिन के बाद join करती हूँ, I have this sense of guilt. But वो कुछ भी नहीं बोलते, and then I realize मैं क्यों झिझक रही थी. वो तो सूर्य की तरह हैं, वो तो shine करते ही हैं और माफ कर देते हैं, and then I go and join, and then I feel so good. So it's not about them, it's about us, all our emotions. And वो बदल देते हैं with their, like you said, aura, their words, their intentions, all the things you don't see, that no scientific connection in that is, all that affects us.
Yes.
Thank you, Samni ji.
There is no need to say anything because we understand that householders have so many duties, responsibilities, they cannot ignore, and that is very necessary part of your life. So whatever time you are sparing for listening to us, that is enough for us. That is great for us. But we know that how the life is so busy of householders.
Yes.
They are taking some time out of that busy schedule. That is enough.
Yes. All Samnijis are very kind. Samnijis are very kind.
It is.
We
should be like that. We should be like that. Otherwise, why we are Samanis?
I know. कभी-कभी मेरा दिल करता है जब मैं बहुत ज़्यादा overwhelmed हो जाती हूँ. I think I should become a Samni ji, but I won't be allowed to take my books with me. They won't let me take my music. So there should be something between, not as high as Samni ji, but the 4-5 classes नीचे जो हम लोग 6 महीने के लिए जाके कुछ we get your
you can come and stay for a few days as you like, and we can as a householder you can also practice the same thing.
Yeah,
it is not that it is only the Samani who can practice those things.
But there's something very attractive about Samni ji's.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Samni ji.
Thank you, Jaisinendra. Samni ji, namaskar. आप इंडिया में हैं अभी?
Today, Hansa Shah has not asked any question. Otherwise, she has some question.
I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed, and and I think one thing I would say that the professor was cutting in and out. There is something wrong with the mic system, or it was very interesting because you could not hear some of the important things that he was talking.
Yes, yeah. Suril has said that his speaker should be proper. I said to him that why the voice is not coming in a very clear way. So he said he has low bandwidth issue. He needs fast internet connection.
Okay, I don't know, or maybe if he moves and if he moves a little bit away from the mic, we could not hear, and then you kind of lose, you know, some of the important words. This is such an important, deep topic that, and I think, you know, like this was like a new subject, very, very intense, and we don't have quite an understanding of it. So going, you know, this fast, it will take some time to absorb and figure out
We
complete
have
thing.
already uploaded very professionally recorded lectures, the same lectures, okay, in detail. So, and
Yeah.
those video lectures are available on modules.
Yeah.
So please open those, because in this particular talk, live sessions, they are not going into very details, and the details have been already recorded.
Okay.
It would be better to listen to those video lectures before
Yeah.
coming to class, and then you can follow whatever he's saying in brief.
Yeah, because मेरा दिमाग थोड़ा आज काम नहीं कर रहा था.
Yeah, because the
It's
voice
a deep
was not so
subject.
clear. In India, what happens is so many noise in surrounding. So I'm
Yes.
also not able to listen to him in a proper way.
Yeah. No.
सिमरन जी
Thank
आप
you.
मियामी में नहीं है अभी?
Now I am in India, in Mumbai.
Oh wow.
आपको लेट हो गया होगा, sorry.
Yeah, no, it is just around 10. So this is the right time for us.
Okay.
Not late.
Okay.
So thank
Thank
you,
you,
thank you,
Samani ji.
Neeraji, Hansaji.
Kusata में रहिए. Thank you.
So
Namaskar.
Ranjita is not asking any question.
Same thing I want to say. As Hansaji said, the voice is interrupting, and I could not hear the lectures that you posted for some reason.
Okay. Which would be better for all of us, that we should listen to the video lectures before coming to the class, because the lectures are already posted before the session starts, no? So it would be better, first we have to listen to that, and if we have some questions in the mind, we can ask.
Vandami, you have kept the presentation of participants on Saturday, but on that day, Dr. Professor Vinay Jain lecture is on forgiveness from ISJS, same time. Can we postpone on the Sunday, that presentation?
I have to check with the participants if they are available, because
I think Hansa Shah, Ranjita and myself, we three are going to present, I think. Maybe Ifan, 4 of us, we can discuss now itself, and you can email afterwards also.
So I will send the email to the participants who are going to present. And if they are ready to present on Sunday, then it can be set. Otherwise, it would be as it is, okay?
Because Saturday we have that.
Either they can present on Friday, or it would be some on Sunday. Sometimes the people are busy in
Sunday
their
will be okay, Vandami.
In their work, yeah.
Sunday will be okay, because on that day there is no classes, because this Saturday we have genetic science Saturday class.
Yeah. Genetic science, yes. The other lectures are as it is. Just the Professor Bhatnagar is not available on Saturday, so his lectures are set.
So it will clash with this if you keep Vandami.
As extra classes, okay?
No, if you keep on Saturday presentation, then there will be clash, no? At 8 o'clock.
Yes. So we have to change the time for.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling. We have to change the time. You can keep on Sunday.
On 6:30.
Okay.
Huh?
So
What?
yeah, we will send the email and
6:30.
yes. On
Okay,
Sunday
thank
we
you,
can
Vandana.
keep at 8 p.m. because there is no other class on Sunday from my side. So it will not clash.
Yeah.
If we are keeping 8 p.m.
Yeah. Sunday 8 p.m. no problem.
Yes. Okay.